So welcome to the first in our 2022 Sawtooth Forum and Lecture Series. This year our theme is Celebrating 50 Years, brought to you by the Sawtooth Interpretive and Historical Association because it is our 50th birthday this year, but also because it's the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Sawtooth National Recreation Area. I'm Lynn Gray, the association's executive director, and I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that here in Sawtooth country, we are in the unceded and traditional lands of the Agadeka and Dukadeka bands of the Shoshone-Bannock Tribes. We pay respect and honor to the tribes and the land they have continuously stewarded for generations. I jumped ahead in my script and now I don't know where to start. All right. We're gonna move to 2022 also marks our 50th year of the series, 15th, not 50th. And we're excited to see you all and continue the tradition of bringing professionals to the Valley to present on topics from pikas to bats to mountaineering history. This program is free of charge thanks to our primary sponsors, Redfish Lake Lodge and the McNichol family, in honor of Roland McNichol, who was an avid series attendee and a steward of the Sawtooths. We thank our sponsors for their continued support. As many of you know, the association is a member-based nonprofit, and our mission is to protect and advance the natural and cultural history of Idaho's Sawtooth and Salmon River country through preservation and education. Our operations are funded by donations, grants, memberships, and book and map sales at our bookstores located inside 9 ranger stations, as well as the Redfish Visitor Center and Gallery, and here at the Stanley Museum. We hope you'll consider supporting us by making a donation tonight in our Sawtooth Bowl, which is over there on the table. We also have an option for a credit card donation through a dip jar, or by becoming an annual member. With that said, would any of our current members of CIHA please raise your hands? That's great. Thank you so much for your support. So you all could be just as cool as them. If you have any questions about membership or anything else, find one of us in our blue CIHA shirts after the program, and we'd be happy to help. Tonight, we are honored to bring you Diana Yupe presenting Coyote in the Basket. Diana is a member of the Shoshone-Bannock Tribe. She graduated from Idaho State University in 1988 in Anthropology, Archaeology, Sociology, Criminal Justice, and Law Enforcement. She has worked for the Shoshone-Bannock Tribes in various departments, including Range, Recreation, Judicial Council, and Cultural Resources. In these roles, Diana has coordinated with federal agencies and other tribal entities and worked with the Pocatello School District. Diana was trained in cultural resource law and processes, the Archaeological Resource Protection Act, federal Indian law, and the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. She's currently working in the tribe's Contracts and Grants Department and in the Tribal Fish and Wildlife Program as the Native American interpreter for the Salmon Chalice National Forest at Indian Creek in the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness. Please join me in welcoming Diana.
Long time ago. And you guys heard this one before. That up here, there was no water anywhere. All the water was not here. Everything was dry. Up here, in the headwater, where the headwaters start, Hivijo is a Shoshone word for old woman. Hivijo, come over there, and she had a big basket. In that basket was things that was to, I jumped ahead. In that I'll tell you what was in the basket in a minute. Outside, this is kind of scary up here. Being the only Indian here.
She's part Cherokee.
Oh yeah, what band, what clan? That Ijapa came to see her. Ijapa is a Shoshone word for coyote. Well, Ijapa come up to the hibijo in her basket. And he looked at her and he goes, "What's in your basket?" And she looked at him and said, "You stay away from my basket." Ijapa didn't listen. He looked at her and he said, "I'm hungry. You got something good to eat in the basket? Can you feed me?" Hibijo said, "Kenengi, Ishinhavite. I told you, stay away from my basket. If you don't stay away from my basket, I'm going to punish you." Well, Ijapa just sat there, just looked at her. Then she walked away from her basket. Well, Ijapa, the coyote, he got really curious. He was still hungry. So he went over to the basket and he put his hand up on the basket and he pulled it toward him. Out of the basket, it fell over, and out of the basket came all the fish. Lots of water. Lots of water animals. Here come the beaver, the mink, the muskrat. Out of the basket was a salmon, the trouts, the dolly vardens. All the fish came out and started to go and start filling up these canyons. Ijapa got scared and said, "Hey, I'm going to get punished. What can I do?" So he got this bright idea that he's going to run down the canyon and stack up all these rocks and make a dam. That way that all that water can stop and he can push all those fish back into the basket before Hivijo come back to her basket. Well, when he did that, the water came and hit the rocks, but it didn't stop. It went over the rocks and continued on. Ijapa ran down further, tried to stack up some more rocks, and it didn't work there either. So he kept running and doing that all the way down the canyon. All the water was pouring out into all these tributaries and all of the land. Well, he got scared. He's going, "Oh, Hivijo's going to get mad at me, going to punish me." And when he got down to where he couldn't put any more rocks, he looked around and he ran up into the mountains looking back. And you know, when you see a Ijapa, a coyote, what does he do? He's always looking back, right? Look over his shoulder. And so he disappeared into the mountains. Well, back up here at the headwaters, Hivijo came back to her basket, and she looked at the basket was laying down, and still the water come out. All the fish was coming out. The water animals were coming out of that water, out of that basket. And she said, "Ishin Hagaid! What did Ijapa do? Knocked over my basket." That woman, the old lady, was Mother Nature. Mother Nature put all this water. And the Shoshone, what we call ourselves Nuana, that we see this water and we worship it. This is the water is the blood of Mother Earth. that we use it in various ways in our ceremonies. And, you know, the old lady, Hibijo, she's still looking for Egypt, but she can't find him. And he's still running from her, he's hiding. And the rat's tail fell off. And that's what we say when we finish our stories. As you know, we have a lot of stories about creation. And the one that I want to share with you also is that at one time, that when the Creator finished creating everything on the earth, He brought all the animals together because they all lived together. They all talked with one another. They were all one people. They didn't have any differences within them. So the Creator called all of the land animals, all of the sky animals, all the animals under the ground, the water animals. And He told them, tell me, what do you want for your people in the future? And the bear, what we call Wura, the bear came up and he said, I want to be able to, I want a heavy coat so I can keep warm in the winter. And I want to be able to sleep during the winter time. And this is how my house is going to look. This is what I want to eat. And the Creator said, that's the way it will be. Here comes the fish. Well, I'll save that one for a minute. Here comes the sky animals. They all came. And the little sparrow said, this is where I want my home to look like. And this is where I want to live. This is what I want to eat. The Creator listened to them and said, this is your blessing. This is the way it will be. All the other animals came before the Creator and asked the same thing. Asked for the blessing of how their life will be for all the future people that live with them on the earth. And the Creator gave them that blessing. The last one to come up was a human being. He come over and he listened to all what the animals wanted. And he said, I want to be different. I don't want what the other animals, the other people are asking for that blessing. I want to be able to hunt them. I want to be able to walk on two legs. I want to be able to live a continuous life. As he was talking, all the animals got mad. What's you talking about? Look at all this, what we're doing. We live together. We're all one people. We're not asking for anything different. You want to be different. Why? Did you finish what? What's wrong with you? The human being put his head down. He was ashamed because of what he wanted. Because he wasn't thinking about how he was going to continue to live with all the other animals, all the other people. The Creator listened to them and he goes, Reach. Told them to be quiet. But the animals continued on. They were angry. But the Creator says, wait, gracious. And he goes and he says, you know, I gave you guys, all you others, a blessing of what you wanted your people to look like. Everyone that's coming after you, this is what you wanted. This is what you got. I'm going to give that human being what they want. He said, but the thing is, that then the fish, the salmon come out. I forgot about him. That's what we call agai. The salmon come up, and he told the Creator what he wanted. And when the Creator was talking to the human being, he was saying, you have a responsibility as a human being. You're getting different than all the other animals here, all the other people. And he says, the salmon over here, you know, they're going to live, but they're going to go, and they're going to come back, and they're going to die. And so it's your responsibility to make sure that all the animals are going to continue to live. Someday they're going to ask for your help, and it's your responsibility to help them. The salmon said, I'm going to give you my life, that I'm going to have a short life to live. And when I come back to where I was born, that I'm going to give you what I lived for. But I want you to understand, he told a human being, I want you to understand that I'm going to do this, but you have to make sure that you take what you need and don't take more than that, so we can continue to live on. And that's what the Creator told the human being, that it's his responsibility, or that human being's responsibility, to assure that all the animals, all the other people, are going to continue to live. Well, the animals, they were still angry, and they went and told the human being, from this day forward, we will never talk to you again. And that's the way it is. That when we, the Shoshone-Bannock, that we honor that responsibility, that we work with the people here in the salmon country. We work with federal agencies in assurance that those animals are going to continue to survive. That's our responsibility, and we have to live up to it, just like what the Creator gave to us. You know, there's the handout I gave you guys talks about that, what our Tribal Fish and Wildlife Program does. That they do a lot of work here with a lot of the private individuals here in the salmon country, as well as federal agencies, and even up to Congressman Simpson's office, and where in order to get his support on preserving the fish that come through here. And also that we also have to go to court, not only to the state courts, but the Supreme Court, in assurance of our treaty, the 1868 Fort Bridger Treaty. And back in 1879, the Tukarika, Agaidika, were removed out of our homeland here. in this whole Salmon River Valley forever. That we were placed on reservations. And I don't want to go into that kind of history, but it's just to know that we have Aboriginal rights here in the salmon country. And we utilize those rights in order to preserve our culture. You know, working with all of these federal agencies and private individuals, state officials. For what? The resource. Whether that resource is a salmon or the bighorn sheep or the coyote, not the coyote, those guys are crazy, or the wolf. You know, our responsibility is to work together to do something that would benefit the resource, not benefit us, not benefit, not benefit anything but that resource, those animals, because we have to live up to that responsibility that was given to us by the Creator a long time ago, at the time of creation. I got my talkie points. I had to do a whole bunch of research. It made me go to work. According that several years ago, our tribal leaders, we submitted a petition to list the sockeye salmon as an endangered species, and we were successful in doing that. And then we have that connection to the salmon from the time that they were put on this earth along with us, and that like what I said a few minutes ago, is that the salmon, whether they're sockeye or whatever, that it offers itself to us, to our people, and to everybody else when we are in need of that help. And they offer their bodies, and we see that as their bodies because they are like human beings. And only thing they're asking in return for living for us and dying for us is that we honor them, that we don't take more than what we need, and that we also remain as that steward of this whole country. Because this whole country gives us life, all of us. It doesn't matter if you're native, you know, everything here gives us life. Everything has a soul. Everything has a feeling. It has emotions. You know, from the tiniest rock to the greatest mountain. You know, it all has a soul. And earlier I said that, you know, Congressman Mike Simpson has put forth that vision, you know, to preserve something that's so valuable that is becoming a lost resource. I was up at Dagger Falls yesterday. That's where I work up there, and over at Indian Creek Guard Station. And you can rarely see the salmon, but they're jumping over at Dagger Falls, and just looking at them, you know, they're struggling. They go and they fight so hard to get over those falls, you know. So for what? To replenish themselves, to replenish the streams, and then to die. You know, there's a long history of what we did as tribes, and I think the majority of that is in some of the handouts that I gave you guys. But then if you have any more questions about what the tribes are doing, then there's contact information on those handouts. They have more information than me. Me, I just like to run at the mouth. But, I don't know. How much more time? Okay. That, the Tukarika, bighorn sheep eaters, you know, we lived here and we survived on the resource. We're hunter-gatherers, and we still are. That, we migrate through this salmon country to harvest for our fish, and oftentimes to gather. Down up on the Middle Fork, there's a root that we gather, the biscuit root, and we go gather it. And we haven't given up that hunter-gatherer mode, even though we're on reservations, or some of us are there. And don't get me wrong that everybody still lives on reservations. We do, kinda. But there's a lot of our tribal people that live off the reservations, and so not everybody's on the res. They're out snagging some women so they can... I'm just kidding. But, you know, like I said, we're hunter-gatherers. And we go through all our Aboriginal territory, which includes Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, parts of Montana, Oregon, Utah, Nevada. And we are the same as the Comanche. And so we have the same culture as them as well. And so we all celebrate each other as one people. We are, like I said earlier, I guess that in 1868, that the, I'm rambling, huh? That 1868, that the tribes and the United States government entered a peace treaty. Within that peace treaty, guaranteed us rights to hunt and gather in any unoccupied land of the United States. And so we continue to practice that treaty. We protect that treaty with whatever kind of force that we can. We went to state court in 1972, and that treaty protected us. We just came out of Supreme Court because of our treaty within this last 3 or 4 years. And so that treaty is pretty much very valuable, you know, to our tribes. And what can I say? I told my 2 best stories. But you know, there's so much to say. There's so much to tell you guys. You know, the work I do at Indian Creek is I talk to guests from all over the world, literally from all over the world, and they are amazed, you know, for what Senator Frank Church did for the American people when he established the wilderness. That Senator Church, he came to the tribes and asked us to support him in the legislation, and now look what we have. Something that is so valuable, and that is for, not just for Native people, but for all of us as Americans. You know, that the things that he envisioned was for that wilderness to be so natural that we can go and enjoy it as it was a long, long time ago. But I wanted to thank you guys for hearing me ramble on. I thought I was ready for this. But, you know, our time together is really valuable. And I think that at some point, you know, when our people when our people used to roam through here, we still do it. We still come here, and we still enjoy everything, and we respect what you guys did here as well. And knowing that this is your home too, and that the things that you have accomplished here is pretty valuable as well. And thank you for inviting me to be here. And I hope that some of the information I gave you is valuable, or even to be made, have people become aware of things that you may not have known. And there's so much, you know, that the Native people are the highest regulated minority in the world, and so we have to have our life regulated not only by the federal government or the state, but also by ourselves. I used to be a tribal judge, and when our tribal members violate our laws that we establish for the hunting here, then they had to be punished as well. So thank you very much, and I'm open to questions.
Can you tell a story from your childhood?
Do you guys hear that? The only one I know is about what we call zoeo. Well, but I don't know if I want to say that. That's Bigfoot. And what I was told when I was little, it scared the crap out of me. And my grandpa, he would tell it in the nighttime, and especially when I was naughty. But he said that don't do that in the mountains, because he'll come out and look for you, find out who's calling him. Yeah.
How long have you worked at the Indian Creek Guard Station?
The question is how long I worked at Indian Creek. I started there in 2009. I wanted to be there for a long time, and then one day I was working with the Tribes Range program. I was writing some tribal range law, and this one guy who's now my supervisor, he saw me. He slammed on his brakes. I heard the rocks flying, and he whipped around. He saw me walking across the lawn there, and he asked me, "Hey Diana," oh, this is on a Friday at 3 o'clock, and he goes, "Hey Diana, you want to go to Middle Fort?" Monday I was here. Yeah, so it was in 2009. That's when I first started. But I did some work with the outfitters and the Forest Service in early 80s on dealing with some of the issues that were controversial. And then in 80, I think it was in 85, I was doing archaeology down the river, as well as in, I think, 89 is when I did archaeology at Dagger Falls.
I worked at Dagger Falls one summer in the 80s with the Forest Service, so I think that's so cool that you're doing outreach there with the folks coming through. But I wondered what other kind of outreach, you know, you're doing with schools or other places that you can get, you know, to share your story.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking me to come to their schools and stuff, and I did a couple of things over at the Stanley Museum, but I don't do too much of that anymore, as I have to take time off of work. But yeah, sometimes I'll do it. That's what a lot of people say, but they say other things about me too. Yeah.
What made you pursue such diverse degrees?
Well, my first one was law enforcement, and I just got out of high school, and I just wanted to do something, so I got into law enforcement, the police officer standard and training course. I was the youngest and the only Indian that graduated. This was at Idaho State University, from the tribes. And then the other ones, I was able, on my criminal justice degree, I was able to use credits because I had law enforcement. And once I finished that, my professor says, "Hey Diana, you got enough credits for sociology." Okay. And then same thing happened with my anthropology. Then that's when I got into archaeology, which is a whole long story. But then I tried to do my master's up here at Dagger Falls, but I didn't finish. Yeah.
In the Coyote story, is there a reason why the man wants to be different from all of the other animals?
All the other animals wanted to continue to live in the river, in the mountains. You know, they had a different lifestyle, more of a natural for an animal thing. A human being wanted to be like we are now. We want to be different. That's why they got mad at him.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to know if there was, in the framework of that story, if there was a reason why the human wanted to be different.
He just wanted to be different. He didn't want to be like the other animals. There was a question back there. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about the remarkable garments that you were wearing?
Yeah, I made all of this. These are otters. They're big. I think they're probably from the ocean because they're so long. But yeah, these are otters, and they're for hair ties on a woman. Sometimes men wear them. But I saw this one thing on Facebook. This little otter, he's standing there praying. He's, "Oh, please don't let me be a hair tie." But yeah, it's just ornaments and stuff like that. When Lewis and Clark came through here, then I think it was a Shoshone went and gave him the tippet, and it was made of otter fur, and it had decorations on it, and so it went to one of them. I'm not sure if it was Lewis or Clark, but he was gifted with otter fur. And then my belt, I beaded my belt. It's my grandmother gave me this the thing to bead it on, and then she says, "Here, finish it." Okay, it took me about 5 years, and then I did my eagle right here. But yeah, I'm making all of this stuff for my great-grandkids. That they're starting to dance, and these mostly are ornament things. Then my moccasins, I made them too.
If I could,
Sure.
one more thing. So I've been lucky enough to spend, to do quite a few river trips on the Middle Fork, and so I've got through many orientations at the beginning of a trip. There's safety and the do's and the don'ts. The times when you or representatives from the show bands have also done a presentation really have changed the spirit, the attitude of the participants on the trip, and I thank you for that. We stop worrying about where's my suntan lotion and is my Diet Pepsi on ice, and start appreciating the resource from a perspective that you present.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. Yeah, the whole purpose this at first, when my cousins and my nephews were doing the interpretive work, they gave some of the history And for me, I want to express the connection. You know, when I told the coyote and the basket story, I tell that about the river, and then where Coyote went and put the rocks up for Dagger Falls, and then down to Vale Falls, and then down Pistol. And so it gives people that perspective of the reality of that place and the respect. And a lot of people have commented about that. And some of the guides, they go and tell me that they have a discussion when everybody gets out of the river, and they say, okay, what is the one thing that you found most enjoyable on this 6-day river trip? And a lot of them say the Indian lady up at Indian Creek. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.